So you did something fun recently. You went, as you mentioned previously, to Arkham Nights. Now, this is something that I've always actually been interested in doing. So do give us a brief overview of what the purpose of Arkham Nights is.
Arkham Nights 2018 was held this October, I think about a week or two ago. They do it every year in October since 2012. Yeah, 8 years. So this would have 2012, 13, 14, 15, yeah. So about 8 years in October they do this, in which they make 2 days out of this week dedicated to everything Arkham. So you can find anything Arkham at the game center. You pay a ticket fee, which is expensive actually. It's like $70. It ain't cheap. But
now, is it just Fantasy Flight's Arkham stuff?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
However,
right.
they don't. There was somebody playing a game of Fate of the Elder Gods.
Oh, okay.
So I would say that if there's anything Cthulhu related, feel free. Like like I said, somebody was playing that game, and it was very much in the style of H.P. Lovecraft. So they're like, sure, we go ahead and play it. But you pay $70, and you have access 2 days from Friday, from like 4 p.m. until midnight, and then they open up the next day at 10 a.m. all the way up until midnight. So it's a huge marathon of everything Arkham, and I'll just tell you about the whole process. So again, $70, you get the ticket. You go in, and so I probably got there around like 3 o'clock, right? So doors opened at 4. I got there at 3. There was a line started by the time I got in. That was like maybe like 10, 15 people deep. I got in line maybe 25 people deep or whatever. There was a snake line that just wrapped around the entire game center. Like, literally. There was a lot of people queued up ready to enter into the back hall of the game center. So, like, when you walk in, there's, like, high lofted ceilings, and then they have, like, a desk kind of in front of you. And then they have their whole game entire section. And then if you go back a ways, they have just gaming tables. It's a huge open area for Warhammer, for just playing regular old games. And then when you go off to your left, there's, like, a wall, and then there's, like, an entire, like, just duplicate of what they have in the main hall just behind closed doors. And so that's where people were queued up waiting to go. So you wait in line, they start getting people in, and you basically tell them your last name. If you had pre-ordered, they print out a little name badge for you, they give it to you, and this kind of acts as like a ticket in a sense, where there will be exclusive things that you will get, and they will punch your ticket each time you get something on a corner.
Oh, okay.
So, like, if you were to purchase a Arkham Horror 3rd Edition game, they'll punch the top left corner. If you get promos, they'll punch the bottom right-hand corner. So, like, it's just being able to be like, you can't double up on things, right?
Yeah.
So the line gets in, the line moves, and you get actually a really sweet swag bag. Right, so for $70, gives you kind of exclusive access to this back room, but it also gets you Arkham Horror. What is it? Labyrinths of Lunacy, which is like a LCG scenario that hasn't been released yet for Arkham Horror. They give you custom dice for Arkham Horror. They give you promos for Elder Sign. They give you promos for Arkham Horror 3rd Edition. So, like, I have Ashcan Pete from 3rd Edition in an upcoming in an upcoming expansion they haven't released yet. And they give you a playmat for the LCG / Elder Sign, whatever you want to do with. They give you a poster. Like, they do kind of make it worth your while. You also get acrylic tokens, and those
for which game?
For anything, right? So they're just health and sanity tokens, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, okay.
And these things go hotcakes on eBay, right? Like, in a side note, a friend of mine went to a Keyforge developer thing, and he got 3 little kind of like developer only acrylic tokens for Keyforge, sold them online for $50.
Jeez.
Yeah, like people go nuts for exclusives. So like, while you may look at it, like, I swear to God, you could probably make a profit off of just a swag bag alone. At least being able to make back your purchase price if people really wanted to. Yeah. Because people just, like I said, they eat up the dice and whatever. So again, the biggest thing for me was I really wanted to play Arkham Horror 3rd Edition. And so at the tables, some of the tables had a demo team ready to start playing. And people that had been waiting there were able to get in and start playing. And they also had signups. So they have different events for what you can do at Arkham Nights. One of which is you can play with the developers for Arkham Horror. You can play with the developers for the LCG. You can play Arkham Horror First Edition with Richard Lanius, who was there. You can play and sign up for a 12-player game of Eldritch Horror, which was framed in this giant frame and was as big as me. Like, no joke. It was huge.
That's awesome.
There was also a huge game of The End of the World, which is that RPG.
Oh yeah.
So there was like the Arkham version of it, or like the Elder God version of it, which I actually played. Is kind of fun. I DM'd it and I had a really great time.
That's cool.
So they had signups, and they have signups for, and they give you like a schedule too. So the schedule is like at breakdowns in certain point of times. They have like all these events, and an hour before the event happens, you can sign your name up to play with the developers or get on any of these games, what have you. And so I went in for my first game of Arkham Horror 3rd Edition, and we lost. And unfortunately, like, they were still setting up as people were coming in, which is to me kind of strange. You think they'd be all ready to go, but they were still setting up. So I sat down and I ended up playing, which unfortunately the demo didn't go well. I don't think it was played right, because then when I got in on my second game with a friend of mine who joined me later on in the night, it went a lot better and a lot more smoother. And I mean, that's just kind of how it is, I think, with kind of hobbyist board games now these days, is that you have to be really talented, I think, to kind of really absorb everything that a game has to offer and then spit it back out to three people who have like a myriad of different questions they're going to ask you, and having to keep that all straight. It's a lot. You have to probably get so many of these things under your belt in order to have it be a smooth experience. Alas, the first game went super easy to learn, at least at the time, to encapsulate generally what you're trying to do. Played it, had a good time. Then we went and got dinner, came back. They also have giveaways, so you get a ticket. So they have like giveaways of certain things that they were offering. So for instance, they are giving away custom purple dice for Arkham Horror, which are sought after, I guess. Different not different colored dice, but different promos. Like, they had all the Elder Sign promos that they've given away at previous Arkham Horrors in like a huge packet. Same with like LCG promos for Arkham Horror. And they also had the ability that I think it was like 24 people were split into two teams, and they made two unique custom new Arkham Horror LCG cards that are like specific to that event. Which was kind of nice. And that at the end of the night, they printed off all those cards, and all attendees the next day were able to get 2 copies of those cards.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that was kind of neat. So Arkham Horror 3rd Edition was the first night. Second day I came back, there was a line out the door. So they opened the doors at 10, and there was already a line to get in at like 9:30.
So I don't get the benefit of being there early, though. Is it just to play the games you want to first?
Yeah. So here's one of the big concerns that I have with Arkham Horror or Arkham Knight is that the biggest thing is with the sign-up sheets. There's no reason for you to wait outside unless if you want to do something specific that morning. I really, really, really wanted to play with the developers of Mansions of Madness. And there was going to be at 11 a.m. a session to play Mansions of Madness. That's why I got there early. Unfortunately, like 10 other people did before me, and so the first 4 people just were like signed up. And I was like, I waited half an hour. What do I do now? Right?
Yeah.
It's not fair. I've heard a lot of people complain that, like, you know, they got here, however, early, thinking that they could get in and start playing with the developers, and they didn't have the opportunity to. It's a shame. So I went and I relearned Arkham Horror LCG, and I fell in love with it again. I brought all my cards, I unpacked everything. I found a website that allows me to deck build, totally going to get in, start deck building. I have a friend of mine that's like, hey, whenever you want to play, let's play. So I'm totally jazzed. Like, that is a really awesome thing I was able to experience that weekend, is to recover my love for Arkham Horror LCG, and experience that. And at 4 p.m., I really, really, really wanted to play. And fortunately, 4 p.m. was the time in which we could play Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition with one of the developers. And at 3 p.m., they announced that they wanted to have signups. And again, what the problem with this is that, like, you have people lining up like 10 minutes before that sign-up sheet in order to do that. And it's just like, okay, so I had to stand in line for 10 minutes to sign up, and there was already like a 20-man lineup behind me wanting to do that, and there was like 2 other people in front of me, and it was dumb because it's like, okay, the first four people got to go in, and then there was a wait list sheet if like those 4 people didn't show, and there was like literally 10 people that were like on that wait list, and it's just like, there's no way if people waited 15 minutes that, aside from having an emergency, they're not going to skip out or forget they're going to be playing with the developer. I really think next year they need to just make it a complete like they pull a ticket out of the hat, right? Like, if you want to sign up, you got to put in your ticket, and then once you get to play, that ticket's destroyed, and that you have to wait for the next time. That's like the only way that it's fair, because otherwise it's just like you have to then stop what you're doing, wait in line, and sign up, and it's just, I don't know. It's a really weird part that I did not like about Arkham Nights, was the waiting, or just the line queuing for whatever you wanted to do, because there were like so many opportunities to play, like, you know, the huge games of Eldritch Horror 12-person edition or Arkham Horror 1, you know, like there was ample opportunity, but everyone wanted to play with the developers. So I just say, just make it completely name drawn out of a hat, because I think that's just fair for everybody. That was just my biggest gripe of the entire day. Yeah. And the waiting in the lines, but that's my fault too. You know, it's just like, I'm the one waiting at like 9:30 in the morning, and it was like super cold and whatever. Right. But last thing I want to be able to talk about is I played Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition. I'm so excited. I'm just reliving this night.
I'm excited too.
Today in my head. I played Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition, Horrific Journeys, the new expansion coming out this winter with one of the lead developers, Karas and Tel Dunk, who demoed us or guided us through a 4-player game of this like 5-star mission, which was intense. Woo! Where one of us was a Deep One trader. So one of us had to be a Deep One trader. We didn't know who it was. And we played on the Fantasy Flight stream. So you can actually see my beautiful face in video on demand whenever you would like. And as every single game of Mansions of Madness does, it just culminates to this like epic series of events that just makes this game, that just re-cements how great this game is. Like, it just is so good. It's just so good, and I'm really, really happy that I waited. Aside from the fact of how much I hated it, I'm really happy that I was able to get in and play it, because I just had an awesome time. I had a great time playing it.
Is this like the 4th expansion for it?
Yes, no. It is. It is the 4th expansion.
Okay, now I don't want to include the first 2 that were just re-implements of like the original Mansions of Madness expansions, like Alchemy.
Oh, no. Okay, so there are already right now 3 big box expansions, and then they have the expansion box for Mansions of Madness 1st Edition, so you can have all the tiles, and then they have the expansions for all. They have the big box expansion for all the other, you know, tiles.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yep. So that way you didn't have to go and find, you know, the out of print boxes to be able to play.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, cool. Yep. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, I need to get back into that game. I've honestly only played like 2 scenarios for Mansions of Madness. Mm-hmm. It's because it's a longer game, and it's kind of harder to get people together for that long of a game. Yep. But it's something I definitely need to make an effort into doing. Oh, I love that game. So, is this an expansion? Do you think you'll pick up?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But do you know how many scenarios it's going to add?
3.
3? Oh, geez, that's a lot.
Yep,
Okay.
3 scenarios. And then so like on top of all the other kind of big box scenarios, plus this new one, plus the ones that they just release on the app itself, there's like a whole myriad of different scenarios you can pick and choose from with whatever sounds interesting or whatever your time frame has. But like to me, like the 5-star ones always kind of scared me away because of the quote unquote difficulty. This one in particular, though, I mean, there's spoilers here if you really, really want to know, but this one in particular was a game in which we were on kind of like a cruise ship, and we end up the ship is sinking, and what we're trying to do is we're running to the top of the ship to escape, and we are trying as well to talk to the different passengers of the ship to convince them to leave. And what is interesting is that at the beginning of the game, which kind of wasn't communicated very well, but it also kind of added to the hilariousness at the end of the game, is that one of those passengers may also secretly work for the Deep One. And if that passenger is successfully, like committed to going up and meeting with you on the rescue boat, and you launch the rescue boat, then you potentially everybody loses the game if like the Deep One like decides like is able to escape with you, or like that NPC that's working for you. And like what's hilarious too is that you can also push people off of the lifeboat at the end of the game too. And it was just so funny because like some people were interacting with people on the lifeboats and they were just pushing them off, and you're like, what are you doing? Like, stop! And it's just like,
the game is so good.
It's so fun. Like in that game in particular too, it's the only one that has that type of agenda card. But if you know me, my favorite mechanism is hidden agenda, hidden role. So which is why like Dead of Winter is awesome. Why this specific thing was awesome, and just to be able to always be kind of constantly be like, what are you doing? Like, what's your reasoning behind like why you're being the way that you are? Like the person that next to me was the Deep One. I mean, I knew it like a few turns in, and it was just hilarious to kind of keep like being like, okay, Deep One, like I'm not gonna listen to you, Deep One. And then the player, again, spoilers, but the player that was sitting across from me went insane, and I totally forgot about how when you go insane, something happens to you. He ended up turning into a Deep One. And so, like, there was this whole thing about how we were trying to get the guy to my left to be sent into another dimension. And the guy that sat across from me had this bag that if you threw it over his head, he would be lost in time and space. And so, like, we were pushing each other through, like, the water trying to get to this guy because he kept running in front of us. And then all of a sudden, like, we had him. And then the guy was like, all right, I'm going to use the bag on you. And the guy's like, no, please don't. I'm not the traitor. And he's like, okay, that sounds good. I'm just like, what the
what?
He's like, why? You have the bag. I'm going to tie this dude up if you don't do it. And then...
it's so good.
Just watch it. Like, I literally like get up and throw my hat after I find out what happened. Like, it just is...
All right. I gotta check it out.
It's fun. I can go on and on. It's like I said, it's why it's my favorite game of all time. It's so good.
All right, I'll play it again. Overall, it sounds fun though. It kind of sounds worth the entry ticket for that swag bag, for just the experience overall. That's awesome. That's something that would be fun.
People travel like across the United States to head to this thing, which I didn't realize. Right. I thought it was only a Minnesotan thing, but people stay up all night. There's like, what is it, the Arkham Marathon, where people will play Arkham games, and then they'll go back to their hotel, play Arkham games, like stay up all night, and then come back and then play Arkham games until Saturday night. And I think that's really cool. Like it's like a whole group that does it, and
that's awesome.
All in all, it was my favorite Arkham Nights besides the first one. The one where the LCG came, I bought my copy and I didn't end up making it. I just couldn't do it. But this time was my favorite. I liked it a lot.
Oh, so. That's cool. That's awesome. I love it. Man, okay, that's exciting.